Hello out there in cryptocurrency land. Welcome back to Real Crypto. Thank you for joining me today. So I've got a very interesting video talking about Bitcoin. We have very mixed signals possibly happening right now. I'm going to walk you through what all these little lines mean on my chart. All right, so let me zoom in here a little bit. I guess I could have started doing that before I made the video, but I didn't. Okay, so very interesting action happening here. Immediately right now, we have a head and shoulders in Bitcoin. So here's your shoulder, here's your head, here's your shoulder. This is a head and shoulders. And with a head and shoulders, you can actually imply a downside target. In this particular case, it's 66.50. All right, it's 66.50 as the downside target if this head and shoulders plays out. Now, if this plays out and we get a spike down here to the 66.50 area, this gives us a very good case for a much larger inverted head and shoulders. All right, this would be your inverted head and shoulders. You can take this head and shoulders and flip it and invert it, and you have your shoulder, your head, and your shoulder. Now, if this head and shoulders plays out, you have an upside target of right here, kind of 12,300, something like that, which actually runs us right back into the long-term downward trend line in Bitcoin. I just found that very interesting. I don't know if that's going to play out. I'll give that a 30 to 40% chance of playing out right now currently, but I just find it very interesting that these numbers kind of line up. They kind of line up. Now, to be quite honest with you, if this scenario plays out, maybe we get a shot to the downside, then a shot to the upside. This probably will actually play out over here somewhere, which takes us outside, almost the same target, 12,200, but it takes us outside of this trend line. And we don't always have to go to these targets. We could stop shy at the same point in time. If we poked higher and went lower out of this trend line, that wouldn't necessarily be a bullish thing. So I just thought that was very, very interesting that all these signals coincided, and kind of there's a possibility that this plays out where we have a bearish signal inside of a bullish signal inside of a bearish signal. I can't make this stuff up, guys. Okay, I'm really not making this stuff up. If you know anything about charting or have seen me do some videos and know about head and shoulders, I mean, all this. This is just all charting right here. That's all this is. Like I said, between a 30 to 40% chance of this playing out. Sometimes when these signals coincide like this, they do end up working, and I say sometimes, which is why I give it a 30 to 40% chance of playing out. Now, in the immediate future, what we have is this small term head and shoulders right here. So here's your shoulder, here's your head, here's your shoulder, here's your neckline. Now, there's a very good possibility as well, and this is probably over 30 to 40%, that we actually break out above this 8,500 level, which would almost negate this head and shoulders pattern. It would come very close to negating it if we could get above this 8,500. If we can get above this level, which is kind of 8,600, that would be even better for negating this pattern. But if we go a little bit higher here, then we're going to run into this trend line. So we're still in a market, guys, of just very, very choppy markets, complicated signals, conflicting signals. It's really hard to know exactly where to put your money. If you didn't buy down here like sub 7,000, then you have a very, very high possibility of being chopped in and out of this market, depending on your strategy and your risk reward ratio you like to trade. You got a very good possibility, if you already don't have a lower position in Bitcoin, of being chopped out of this market. But you need to be aware of these scenarios, because once one starts playing out, there's a good possibility that it just continues playing itself out, and then it kind of becomes, I don't like the term self-fulfilling prophecy because people use that wrong, especially in technical analysis, but it may kind of become like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So say we do break this head and shoulders pattern here, say we come up to 85, we fail again, and we go lower. Now we're going to chop around and then get down to 66.50. Does that mean you buy down here at 66.50 and place a buy order in? You can do that. That is a tradable move. It doesn't mean we can't chop over and continue lower and even spike lower. These head and shoulders patterns aren't set in stone. They can spike lower and not quite meet the goal line like any other type of goal, target, or analysis. It's all subject to every second's whim in the market. And the market's schizophrenic if you haven't noticed. So don't take these targets as gospel. They're basically just kind of areas, if you will. The 6650 area, we can go to 6550, 6750. It doesn't exactly matter. But in the intermediate term in Bitcoin, we're kind of stuck in a no man's land. And even if we spike lower, it doesn't mean we're going all the way to the downside, because we could have an inverted head and shoulders. And even if we spike up higher, it doesn't mean that we're going to go higher forever, because while this would be an exceptional run up into this trend line, like say this does happen, this is going to be a near 100% move. So there's an 80% move, 78% move in Bitcoin between 6650 and this trend line here. That's a fantastic move, but it doesn't mean if we get up here, we continue higher. Okay, we're still in a bear market. We're still below this trend line. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this is not an easy market to trade. This is not an easy market to trend unless you're good at buying these extremes, unless that's part of your strategy. Then you can take profits. But if you do buy down here, you understand the market you're in, and you're more likely to sell. You're more likely to sell at a decent point, unless you're going to hodl forever. But if you're a hodler buying lows, then you're holding a bag here from, let's just call this 12,000, then you're holding a bag here from 11,000, and you're still underwater. So depending on your strategy, you like or you hate these bounces. I mean, just really depends on your strategy. And that's why sometimes it's hard for me to say, this is the bottom, go ahead and buy, because if you have a longer term strategy, I can't guarantee this is the bottom. We still don't have a higher high in Bitcoin. We barely have a higher low in Bitcoin, actually. This isn't the low. This is still part of this bounce. We still don't have a spike low. Here's a spike low. Here's a spike low. Here's a spike low. This would be a spike low and give us a lower high. So a lot of things happening in Bitcoin. And looking at the other altcoins, you're seeing very similar action, especially in Ethereum and Litecoin. Very similar head and shoulders pattern there. Very similar head and shoulders pattern in Litecoin. As we know, Litecoin has a different overall pattern. It had kind of this W with a handle. So this thing has put in some bottoming behavior, with 100 being retested twice. And 100 is a big number for a retest. So, this may hold even if Bitcoin goes lower. Litecoin may spike lower, but I would anticipate it coming back to 100 very quick. Although, take that for what it's worth. That's nowhere near in the cards for happening yet. So, and then up to Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash, we still have that strength, albeit we're below that previous high. We still have that strength of holding in this area. Declining volume is happening very nicely in Bitcoin Cash. This still looks pretty bullish to me. So, but again, it's all predicated on what Bitcoin does. And I've already explained a fairly complicated market in Bitcoin. Ladies and gentlemen, the overall trend is there's a battle happening. And do you want to be involved in the trenches of World War I? Or do you want to be involved in World War I once the bombers break the trenches, all the Germans are dead, and we have clear skies ahead? So that's how you have to view this market. Okay, this is trench warfare. Do you want to be involved and get your account chopped up by trying to trade bounces and moves like that? And look, if you've got the skill to do that, then you already know the answer to that question. If you don't know the answer to that question, or if you're apprehensive, the answer is probably no. You should step aside and just watch, learn, and let the battle play out. Use this time to educate yourself. Use this time for market analysis, coin analysis, and enriching your personal lives. Because if you've been trading coins for a while, you probably haven't had a personal life for a while. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it very much. Subscribe if you like the content. Check out my website, Real-Crypto. Check out my webinars on my website, which I only have one right now, and it's a really good one. And have a good day. I will see you next time.